Hi, Savannah. How are you doing?
I'm so good. I'm so excited to talk with you. It has been a long time coming. I can now finally speak freely. Yeah, so yes and no. I mean, part of it was like, I feel like I've already done enough. I've won how many immunity challenges? I've escaped how many bullets and how many tribal councils? Like, I don't need to prove myself in fire. I don't want to prove myself in fire. I just want to be taken to the end. Let me have a night off. Um, but ultimately, I do feel like it was probably best for my game to go against Rizzo in fire because, first of all, Rizzo and I talked about, possibly going up in fire before we even got to tribal council that night. And we pretty much said, whoever wins this, like $1 million. It's going to be $1 million fire. For Rizzo, he either gets to take out one of the biggest threats in the game, and for me, it's an opportunity to say, "Hey, my closest ally tried to get me out. Soph tried to get me out, and she couldn't do it, and I again won my way to the final three. I earned it." So it was a little tricky with that, a little bit of like mixed emotions. You never want to go against your closest ally. In fire, it's emotional, and as much as I would have loved to be sitting up there at the final three, I really did want to go to the end with Rizzo. It was ultimately, I think, a good thing that I didn't. And I don't know how that final tribal would have played out if it was me, Rizzo, and Soph. I really don't.
Yeah, maybe would have split the votes a little more. I think you still would have won, but I don't know.
Well, actually, I don't know. I mean, Rizzo definitely would have taken some of the votes that I got for sure. But I think one of the things to keep in mind is that the jury didn't really like me.
Hmm.
I don't know if they really liked Rizzo that much either, I'm being
Mm.
honest. And so I don't know. I think Soph actually might have had a better chance at winning the game if she would have sat next to me and Rizzo, but I'm not sure. We can only speculate.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't matter. You won anyway, so it's fine.
No, dude, I was like, this is where I die, day 25. And as a fan, because I've watched the show forever, I'm like, dude, like, how do people get to day 25 and they don't make fire? Do they not prepare? What an idiot. And then I'm out there literally like that idiot, you know what I mean?
You
And
crushed it.
well, dude, I don't know. I figured it out pretty easily at camp. Like I just practiced. And I don't want to say I got lucky, but I don't even know how that happened, to be honest. I really don't. Yeah, I mean, my biggest thing, like, if you think about the name of the show, Survivor, I literally survived so many tribal councils where my name had been that first name out of people's mouths in the morning when they woke up before we even had those immunity challenges. And so when I was talking to the jury, I really wanted to highlight that. I wanted to also take ownership of my game. Like, I think we've all seen tribal council performances before where the people at the final three or final two in some cases haven't necessarily had a good understanding of how they've come across in the game. So when I was up there, I was like, I know that some of you guys don't like me. I know I've come across as very like intense at times. I can be a little harsh. I can be a little abrasive. But this is the game that I played. And if they wanted to vote for maybe the person who they liked the best, that would be one thing. But I think I tried to make a really good argument that I felt that my game was a little more comprehensive. And that's no knock to Soph's game. She played an incredible game. You saw her social game. She, I think, honestly had more of a strategical game that we didn't necessarily get to see as well. But I just felt so confident in what I had done and accomplished. Ooh, okay, so I felt very confident I was going to get Nate, Rizzo, Sophie S, and Alex. I felt maybe no, I did feel pretty confident about Alex. I could also see him voting for Soph, so maybe like I some of the things I said helped persuade him. I'll be honest, I thought I was going to get MC before final
Mm.
tribal council, but I do think Soph killed that final council, and she obviously got MC's vote. I knew Christina was never going to vote for me. With Steven, I wasn't really sure which way he was leaning because you see how close his relationship was with Sage. So he might have been one of the ones that I was able to sway in that moment. But yeah, it was crazy. Dude, I was like, I can't believe she threw this question at me. Like, that is diabolical.
That was what
However,
I wrote to someone. It's diabolical.
I can't blame her though. Like, I mean, you saw my gameplay out there. I'm someone who's going to be very direct with someone and, kind of make them sweat a little bit. And so for Christina to put me in that position, like, honestly, dude, I respect. You
Mm.
go, girl. And it's probably easier for me to say that now, being so far removed from that actual day in Fiji that was months ago. In the moment, I wanted to melt into that little tree stump that we were sitting on. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna fail this. I'm gonna try to handle it the best I could. But at the end of the day, like, dude, the jury, this is the jury's moment. They have the freedom and the responsibility to ask whatever they want. And at the end of the day, they don't necessarily have to vote for the person who played the best physical game or the best strategical game or the best social game. Like, they get to choose. If Christina wanted to vote for the person who had the best hair on the island, that's totally her prerogative. And that is one of the most beautiful things about Survivor is, it really is like up to the jury in that moment. So I applaud her for giving me a little bit of a hard time. I love her outside of the show. Like, she's just an incredible woman. So no hard feelings there. Yeah, so honestly, yeah, I forget what his question was. You'll have to ask him, but he did ask a question to all of us, and it actually, now I feel bad I can't remember the question, but I feel like it actually was a question where I had a pretty good answer. And I think the thing about Rizzo is he respects the game so much. I think that he wanted to have a tribal council where each of us argue and voice our opinions on why we should win. And I don't think he necessarily in that moment wanted to like sway things or taint anything in the moment. I think he wanted to have a little bit of like maybe honorability in Final Tribal, but that's probably a better question for him. Yeah, I mean, honestly, as a viewer, like I love seeing the stories of people who go on the show who are so inspirational, who are fighting for their families. I mean, my two closest allies, Rizzo and Soph, have these amazing stories that are family related about their why. And I'm sitting up there and I'm like, well, I don't have that. I
Mm.
really just want to do this for myself because it's been a dream of mine since forever. And I think oftentimes, especially as we are adults, we look for I don't know, maybe like almost like excuses not to fulfill a dream, especially a childhood dream. There's always things that are going on. We have responsibilities, we have bills to pay, we have sometimes children to take care of, and we can so often forget about our dreams that we had as a kid. And I know I've seen people discuss before, like, oh, I want to play Survivor, but I don't have a sob story. And it's like, dude, you don't need one. Go
Mm.
out there, be selfish. It is okay to be selfish, especially in the game of Survivor. So I hopes that in that moment, like I could help, encourage people to own their truth and to say, like, it's okay. You don't need a why. Like the game ultimately, for me at least, isn't about who has the best story off of the island. And I know that that can be a great motivator for some people. But for me personally, what I would look for as a juror would be the performance of that 26 days. And if your why does come into play during those 26 days, like absolutely, I can hear you out, but I don't think it necessarily has to be that way. It's so interesting because I am answering this question as I left out something very personal about my life, my career for about 10 years as a news anchor and reporter. And honestly, I'll say whatever you want to do at Tribal Council, Final Tribal Council, you do you. If you have to hide a major secret in order to secure those votes, you go for it. You're playing for $1 million. You have to do whatever you can think about doing in order to do that. So I think, great strategy move on her part. And honestly, I was sitting right next to her. I'm like, what in the world? Like, I had no idea. It was such a crazy surprise in that moment. And I think, I don't know necessarily how the jury responded to it. But for me personally, I'm like, damn, like this girl's a badass. Like, that's crazy. Absolutely. And hey, I get it. You're seeing so many people from the new era, especially in the past 2 seasons, who are coming back. And it's so short after we just played, right? But the thing I think about season 50 is it really is this overarching game that encompasses things and people from season one. Why wouldn't it include people from the most recent season, especially when, I'll brag on myself, especially when they played a pretty dang good game. And I think Rizzo played an incredible game too. And to the haters out there, I'll just say, just wait and see how things turn out. And after you watch 50, if you really feel that strongly that the two 49ers shouldn't have been included. That is totally your prerogative, but don't knock anything before you see what happens, okay? Like, have a
Yeah.
little fun with it. Don't be such a downer. Don't be such a, a negative Nancy. You know what I mean? Dude, honestly, when he first asked me, I'm like, is this a prank? Like, I did not think he was being legit. I just like, what? I think my answer though, when he first asked, I was like, I got to talk to my people. I got to talk to my partner. I need to talk with my family because you want to go out there, right? This is a dream for anyone who's ever played Survivor. But at the same time, to leave and to be back to back, we had about 10 days in between. Survivor is such an incredible game, but you can't forget about your responsibilities back home. People have bills to pay, they have real lives going on, they have family members who they're leaving behind. And I needed to figure out a way to make all of it work. And, clearly I did. But in that moment, I'm like, it wasn't a full like yes. It was okay, hold on, let me see how I can make this work. And I want it to be yes, but I gotta figure out how in the world I'm gonna make this situation happen.
Yeah. Well, I'm so excited it all worked out. I'm so excited to watch it and see you on there again. And I'm sure we'll be chatting to you then. Can't wait.
Super excited. Good to meet you. Thanks.
Congratulations. Thank you so much.